Welcome to our next whole body migraine assessment. I am Dr. Tanya Paynter. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm a naturopathic doctor who specializes in treating migraines from a whole body approach, which basically means that I take your medical history, your symptoms associated with your migraines, the timing of them, times of day, things that work, things that don't work, put that all together to understand some of those biochemical imbalances that are going on in your body contributing to your migraines. And so that's what the whole body assessment is about, is taking a look at an individual person's collection of symptoms and giving them a little rundown about what I'm observing to give them a little bit better sense of what's going on for their migraines so they can maybe hone in a little bit closer to a solution for actually starting to feel better. So for today's whole body migraine assessment, we have Kelley. So Kelley says that she has 20 to 24 migraines a month, usually starting in the morning. She has not noticed that there's a hormone trigger associated. The medications that are helpful for her are sumatriptan and Maxalt. She recently started on Ajovy, but I don't know if that's helpful or not since it was just started. She has a family history of migraines. Things that trigger a migraine are heat and exercise, and caffeine makes it worse for her. All right, so Kelley, this is some really good information, and there's a couple of things here that are very, very glaring as far as what's going on for your migraines. So let's back it up a little bit. Two things, the sumatriptan and the Maxalt. So sumatriptan works on helping to support and boost serotonin. The Maxalt helps to stimulate 5-HTP receptors, which is another serotonin boosting medication. So the fact that these two work together, combined with the fact that you have usually morning migraines, serotonin is lowest in the morning. So, and that's a natural circadian rhythm. So in the morning, we have the lowest amount of serotonin, since that's when your migraines start, and these medications are effective in treating your migraines, you definitely got an issue going on with serotonin. So that's going to be a big piece of it. So doing things that you can help to support serotonin, eating serotonin supportive foods, supplements that could be boosting serotonin. You need to be before actually taking supplements like 5-HTP, melatonin, things like that, that can naturally help boost serotonin. You have to clear it with your doctor, because if you're on other serotonin boosting medications, you can get what's known as serotonin syndrome, which can be fatal. So make sure you clear any supplements that you start with your doctor before starting on it, okay? But those things could potentially help over time. The other piece that I think is super important with this serotonin picture is the family history. So I don't know, there wasn't anything mentioned about any kind of mood or behavioral disorders, but if there's any family history of depression, anxiety, bipolar, anything like that, that could potentially also be related to serotonin issues, that kind of points us into the fact that there's a genetic component that is likely going on. So there is a gene responsible for breaking down our serotonin called MAOA, or monoamine oxidase A. So this genetic mutation could be part of what's going on from the family history, as well as why you have such low serotonin levels. If it's too fast and it's breaking things down too quickly, then that can be a problem. There is also another component that could be at play. So I'll come back to that in a minute, because the second piece that I'm hearing as that commonality for you is catecholamines. So it sounds like from your symptoms, the fact that heat and exercise trigger migraines, the fact that caffeine makes migraines worse, and I'm going to venture a guess that stress is a pretty big trigger for you as well. So those things will increase our catecholamine neurotransmitters, and catecholamines are our adrenaline, noradrenaline, also known as epinephrine and norepinephrine, and dopamine. So those catecholamines, when they rise, are also known triggers for people, as well as being, you know, when they get too low, that can also trigger, right? So too much and too little, it's kind of like we need that just right. So that's also going to be another piece to the puzzle for you as well. Now, an interesting correlation in what I was referencing a minute ago is that serotonin and dopamine, one of our catecholamines, share a common enzyme. And so increases in serotonin can reduce dopamine, and increases in dopamine can reduce serotonin. So potentially you could have this enzymatic imbalance that is causing things to shift from serotonin, causing it to go low, over to dopamine, causing it to go high. So this would be more of the situation we'd be looking at if, instead of more like depression kind of symptoms, you have a lot more anxiety, stress, like jittery, kind of snappish irritability. Those are going to be more some of the dopamine things if it's too high, right? So those are the two biggies that I'm hearing. Now, there is a commonality, as I mentioned before, the monoamine oxidase A enzyme that could be, genetically speaking, part of what's going on, because MAOA reduces serotonin. It also helps to break down our catecholamines. So there's, it's never simple, right? So the picture that I kind of suspect is going on is that you've got a fast MAOA breaking down your serotonin, as well as probably overactive enzymes shifting things from serotonin over to dopamine. And so that's probably what, from the symptoms that you shared with me, that's the picture that I'm kind of pulling out. Now, there are things that you can do to help support the serotonin, as I mentioned. There are also things that you can do to help reduce the catecholamines. So caffeine is a catecholamine trigger. And so that will release catecholamines and cortisol. And so when caffeine makes things worse for you, that's one of the first things I think about. But there are other things you can do from a dietary and nutrient standpoint. There's some supplements out there that are made to help break down some of those catecholamines and kind of calm things down. There's one actually that's called Catecholacalm that I really like. That helps to kind of support that serotonin while reducing the catecholamines. I don't know that that's appropriate for you, but I mention it because it would be something that would be interesting for you to look into and then have a conversation with your doctor about, to see if that would be appropriate to try based on your symptoms and the medications you're on and all of that. So the third thing that I will mention, you specifically said that you didn't see any hormone or cyclical component. But as I've said many times before, if you're a woman and you have migraines, there's a hormonal component to it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the only thing, but it will be a contributing factor, because I have never, in all my years and all of the hundreds of women that I've treated with migraines, I have never once seen hormones not playing a role in migraines. But the problem for you is the fact that you have 20 to 24 a month. So you don't ever have any good pain-free streaks to really be able to see any cyclical nature yet. So what I suspect is that once you kind of tone in on that catecholamine neurotransmitter imbalance that might be that's going on for you right now, then you'll most likely, then that's when you'll start seeing cyclically, oh yeah, right before my period is worse, or right after my period, or right around ovulation. And then you'll start to pick up that piece. So that's a very, very common to have it so frequent that we don't see anything like that. And then moving into, oh, now hormones are a problem. Well, they were always a problem. It's just now you're actually noticing that cyclical component because you feel well enough to notice when you don't feel as good, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So the last little piece that I'll share with you, Kelley, is there are definitely things that you can do to support that MAOA gene. You can Google it, MAOA gene support. There's nutrients that you can do. There are protocols that you can do, foods you can emphasize. There's a fantastic book by Dr. Ben Lynch called Dirty Genes. Not affiliated with him in any way, but I've learned a lot from him about how to support a healthy genetic functions, even when you're born with that mutation. So his book is available on Amazon. It's like $20, something like that. That might be a really interesting read for you to kind of take a look at, especially knowing the family history of genetic issues or migraine issues that you have that run in the family. Points to the fact that there are definitely some genetic components going on for you as well. So that can give you kind of a rough rundown. And there is a section in there on MAOA and the things that you can do to help support it. So that could be a helpful resource for you. And the other thing to note is that you can also help to support the MAOA pathway with certain nutrients and, kind of like supplemental protocols to help adjust the balance of the neurotransmitters and stuff. So that would be something to talk to your doctor about on ways that you can do that with diet, with, stress management techniques, and with supplemental things. All of those can be really helpful in bringing that back to balance. So one last thing, I think I said that a second ago, but for real, the one last thing is neurotransmitter testing. So there are actually, you do have the ability to have your neurotransmitters tested. It's usually done through saliva. There's also the option of having it done through urine. These tests are more functional testing. Most MDs, most conventional doctors are not going to know much about it. There are some very expensive blood testing things that you can do. Some of them actually might not be so expensive anymore. It's been a very long time since I've ordered the blood testing, so I don't know honestly, but that could be something also to talk to your doctor about. And it's not actually going to measure the neurotransmitters, but what it measures is the breakdown products. So it's not really giving you an idea of exactly what the neurotransmitter levels are, but it can give you a clue as to whether or not your levels are low or high or somewhere in between. But the testing that I strongly recommend is, or that I use, I should say, is saliva testing to really take a look at the tissue levels of those neurotransmitters and what might be going on there. So this is kind of the pattern that I see, but definitely there are some tests that you can do to help solidify that suspicion and really see, okay, what's out of balance and what's not. The one that I use is called Doctor's Data. Again, I have no affiliation with them. There are multiple other ones. Let's see, Dutch has one, Dr. Data Labrix. I know there are a handful of others. Those tend to be the two that I've used, but you can definitely do some research and find some of those labs. They are they do need to be ordered by a doctor. So if your doctor or neurologist is open to, signing up and ordering one of those functional tests, you can. You can also find a functional medicine doctor who would be likely to help with that as well. So, and then of course, I do that as well remotely. We have the opportunity of being able to order some of those tests and send those to our clients. So that's always an option as well. If you're stuck in a rural area with nobody that is open to it or able to help, you can definitely reach out and let me know, and we'll see how we can get you set up. Okay. All right. So hopefully that was helpful, Kelley, and gave you at least a little bit of an idea of what might be going on for you so that you can kind of tailor in some of those treatments a little bit more specifically. But it sounds like with the medications that are on board, at least you're on the right track. But I think there's a lot of other supportive and balancing work that you can do, because as I mentioned at the end of all of these whole body migraine assessment videos, is the important piece is not just to figure out what's going on, what's triggering things, what's out of balance. It's how do we treat it so that we can bring the body back in balance. Because once we do that, we start seeing migraines disappearing. I am proudly going on 7 years migraine free because I've worked over the last 7 years to really keep my body in balance. And when I don't, they start to come back. But luckily now I know enough about my body and how I need to support it in order to be able to have some wine with my husband or go out on the boat for all day long and be able to eat, the chips and the snacks and things within moderation. But I have the freedom to do all of those things because once your body heals, you know how to keep it there and you just don't go crazy, right? So then you can just live the life that you want to live. And that's really what we all want, is just to be pain-free and to be able to enjoy our life. So as you identify these underlying issues, make sure that you find somebody that you can work with to help you heal so that you can go out and enjoy those things. And if you don't have anyone locally or nobody who understands, the migraine specific treatments and things that need to come with that to really help that healing process, then absolutely reach out to us. That is what we do. So if you want to have your own whole body migraine assessment done, then you can click the link below and sign up for your own time. And I'm happy to evaluate your symptom patterns to see what I can see. All right, until next time.